Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening everyone. Leading the news tonight, a Tasmanian aged care provider recently hit with accusations of inadequate treatment has now pledged to do better, unveiling a grand plan to significantly change service delivery. Southern Cross Care is adopting a new household model, but dedicated unions aren't convinced, slamming the move and claiming staff weren't consulted.
Routine physio followed by a little pampering. The commitment to overall wellness is earmarked to expand under a Southern Cross Care operational shake-up.
It's about better care, better quality of life, better built environment, better food, better everything for the residents.
Hundreds of residents currently call their facilities home, and now a new household model is designed to enhance that concept.
So the household model is really about being more flexible, more like home-style care, less like a clinical institution, if you like.
Under the move, enrolled nurses to be phased out. Instead, they'll take on a carer title, redirecting the focus to employing multidisciplinary roles, meaning
the catering staff and leisure and lifestyle staff trained in care services, so they'll be able to be part of the care service team as opposed to siloed in separate pockets.
But the state's Health and Community Services Union fear it will place further pressure on already dwindling workforce numbers.
We can't afford to lose these workers. These are specialist roles such as enrolled nurses, servery staff and lifestyle and leisure staff.
Labelling the changes as a knee-jerk reaction.
This announcement has come from nowhere. There has been no consultation with staff, the people that actually do the job every day caring for residents.
All triggered by Royal Commission findings and the federal government's 5-year reform agenda.
It's very important spotlight being shone on where we can improve as a nation.
It's expected these changes will impact 175 staff across the 9 facilities. Employees have now been informed of the decision and discussions are underway for what this means for each individual's role.
We think it is bizarre that you would be offering voluntary redundancies in aged care given the massive shortage of workers that we have.
Redeployment in the organisation is also being offered.
These sorts of models of wellness and lifestyle are really cutting edge and evidence-based best practice.
Consultation has begun with families ahead of the movements, which will be rolled out in the coming months. Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
The new health hub dedicated to women and children is now up and running as part of an overhaul of the Launceston General Hospital. Optimists hope it will bump up the quality and efficiency of healthcare, but finding enough staff remains a concern.
Saying good morning.
Good morning.
To the new $20 million Women's and Children's Precinct.
Before they were pretty crowded and now they have absolutely contemporary cutting-edge spaces to work in.
Combining a range of services under one roof.
As a patient, you're put right at the centre of care. You don't have to go to different specialists.
On level 3, a paediatric outpatients clinic with space for speech pathology, occupational therapy and dietetics treatment. On level 4, a 34-bed children's ward offering medical support, surgery and room for rehabilitation. Then on level 5, a dedicated area for pregnancy and gynecology services.
It means that we can do more procedures for women actually right here in the Women's and Children's Centre, that they don't need to be taken into our surgical precinct.
The concern? Staffing, especially with ongoing industrial action.
When you've got a government that's saying on the one hand that it's negotiating in good faith, but on the other hand it's saying that it's made its final offer, those two things don't go together.
As we open brand new infrastructure, we actually increase our staffing to match.
Also opening today, an $11 million educational facility, including a simulation room, aiming to pump some life into local health.
Fantastic, sir. Very good. I need CPR.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
State Labor is reviving calls to bring back a rebate to help counter energy prices. Signing with the Launceston Chamber of Commerce, the party is arguing for a scheme similar to one introduced 5 years ago, which it claims would save households around $227 a year.
We have small businesses that are struggling with their costs going up as well, and then we have major employers who are really struggling because their contracted prices are simply too high.
Having low energy prices for Tasmania is part of our key economic advantage.
2017's energy rebate scheme cost the state government $20 million. Meanwhile, the Tasmanian Greens are calling for changes to how fish farms prescribe antibiotics. The party says more than a tonne was added to fish feed at pens near Bruny Island earlier this year to counter a bacterial outbreak. The action was detailed in a government report found online by local activists. They want Tasmania to follow Norway's lead and change how outbreaks are managed.
Why aren't we world's best practice? Norway has mechanised vaccinations for their salmon. They require companies to vaccinate each fish.
In a statement, the EPA says treatments are important for fish health and monitoring is conducted by pen owners to detect any residue in the wild. As we enter the summer period, Tasmanians are being urged to cover up to protect themselves from mosquito-borne illnesses, both here and interstate. Experts warning recent heavy falls will see a spike in the number of insects floating around.
They're the pesky pests that can cause significant illness. For many, a mosquito bite is just an irritation, but for others, the impact can go deeper.
Two viruses that can really knock people out for some time, quite debilitating symptoms with Ross River virus and Barmah forest, so definitely encouraging the public to be mindful of this.
With summer nearly upon us, many Tasmanians will escape to the coast. The Health Department says they are prime breeding areas.
The eastern coast, along sort of Coles Bay region, also up along the northwest as well, and down in the Huon we often see notifications.
Recent heavy rainfall also expected to boost numbers.
Increase water bodies, increase mosquito activity.
And it's the same for southeastern Australia and Tasmania. With all of the extra rain, you've just given a wonderful opportunity for these mosquitoes to multiply.
Symptoms of Ross and Barmah forest virus include fever, fatigue, pain and stiffness, and the development of rashes, with rest the only available treatment. Tasmanians travelling to flood-ravaged areas of eastern Australia also urged to be alert for encephalitis.
It can be quite severe. People can end up in hospital, and sadly there have been fatalities associated with those particular infections.
Locals advised to cover and clean up.
Wear long, loose-fitting clothing, to use mosquito repellent, particularly those that contain active ingredients like DEET or picaridin.
Check out for little pockets and pools of water around the house or where you work. That can reduce the mosquito breeding grounds.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
The City of Hobart is embracing diversity this holiday period, launching a range of pop-up parties to showcase the traditions of different cultures. A mock Pakistani marriage is among them, celebrating what they know as wedding season.
We are organising a dance workshop as well, and there will be food and henna, and you can have a photo booth with us, the bride and the groom.
If you're from a different culture, it might be a reminder of home as well. So a really good opportunity to see how other cultures spend the Christmas period.
There will still be plenty of the usual Christmas cheer to go around too, with scavenger hunts to find Santa's lost reindeer kicking off this Saturday. An AFL historian is putting the state's rich football history on show while we await the announcement of our own possible Tasmanian team. A new pop-up exhibit showcasing memorabilia from trophies and clothing through to the balls used in iconic games.
In a silent building, scenes from some of our most exciting Australian rules football matches are being relived as the State Library welcomes a pop-up display of Tasmanian football memorabilia.
It's like I suppose a dream come true to eventually be able to showcase some of the items we do have rather than just have them sitting in a cupboard or a shed somewhere.
Max Kelleher's 1960s state blazer, team photos, trophies and even a pair of shoes. Just some of the pieces on show. But there's one item that takes the cake. The very football Tasmania used to defeat Victoria in the 1990 State of Origin match.
I contacted Noel Leary, who was the Tasmanian runner on the 24th of June 1990 in that famous game. So he has had that sitting in his wardrobe for 32 years now.
Archivists taking extra precaution to protect the pieces from damage and interference.
We might actually put the jumpers and the blazers upstairs into the Hobart Public Library just to be that little bit more safe, given that I think everybody would love to have a Tassie Guernsey.
The government committing $250,000 into developing a new Australian Rules History and Heritage Museum. Its location still yet to be determined.
It's appropriate that we value that heritage and our history as we're about to make our own history when it comes to our AFL team and be part of the national competition.
The exhibition will be popping up across the state next year, but it might look a little different. Archivists hoping to give the entire collection some time in the sun. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
First to the Sheffield Shield, Riley Meredith has starred for Tasmania with the ball, but rain looks likely to hamper their chances of a win against New South Wales. After losing nearly an entire day yesterday, the first 90 minutes of today were lost due to the wet. When play resumed, Meredith was looking to make up for the lost time, claiming 4 New South Wales wickets.
Their first port of call. Meredith's in. Drives outside the off stump, it's an edge. And he's gone. Moses Enriquez, he's got to go.
New South Wales declared at 7 for 216 late in the day, putting the Tigers back into bat. At stumps, Tasmania is 2 for 176. Tim Ward unbeaten on 90. Wet weather also looms over the first ever Women's Big Bash clash in Latrobe. One rising star is determined to play, having some local knowledge of the ground. La Nina and Latrobe looks like this. Groundkeepers are working overtime to have the Oval ready for back-to-back games against the Melbourne Stars.
Hopefully the rain can hold off and it can drain a little bit and we can get on and play some cricket.
Launceston's Emma Mannix-Jeeves is one of a handful of Hurricanes familiar with the ground from her club cricket days. 16-year-old Ava Curtis also knows Latrobe. She's shadowing the team as she tries to make the national under-19s for the upcoming World Cup.
In the extended squad at the moment, but if I put my best foot forward at Nationals, might have a little look.
She's being guided by Mannix-Jeeves, who has walked the tough road back to the WBBL after being cut 2 seasons ago.
My motivation now is just to get in and contribute to the team and have fun, and I'm really enjoying my cricket at the moment.
She was part of the team's record-breaking outing against the Renegades, which sparked a 3-game winning streak.
It's been a bit of a journey getting here, but I'm really glad to finally be here and loving it, and the girls are playing good cricket, which is great.
She's in the 14-person squad ahead of tomorrow's clash. First ball is at 3 p.m. if the weather holds off. Dramas for Tasmanians behind the wheel at the Bathurst International. Trans Am driver Lockie Dalton's brakes failed heading down Conrod Straight, seeing him end up in the gravel trap. He ended the championship in 6th place. Devonport's Owen Kelly finished the race in 2nd after being penalised on Forest Elbow.
2.6 seconds. Owen looks down the inside. Oh, there's contact with Holdsworth. Holdsworth's going to go round here. That's awkward. That's awkward on the final lap.
And Kelly finished 2nd in the series overall. And Stuart McSwain's season has begun in style, the King Islander cruising to a win over the mile distance in Japan. He led from start to finish and says he got a boost from the crowd.
The main goal against such a good field's to win, so yeah, I loved it out there and felt like I ran strong the whole way, so I'm pretty happy.
He ran it in 4 minutes flat, 12 seconds off his personal best.
Good evening. Rain across the state today. Hobart 15, 16 in Launceston, Burnie 17 and 19 in Devonport. King Island and Bushy Park 16, 15 at St Helens and Grove. Friendly Beaches 13 and Laiwini reached a top of 9. Widespread low and medium level cloud covered the state today, clearing somewhat from the central north. Further out, scattered thunderstorms lie across parts of Queensland and the Northern Territory, and low-level cloud can be seen over the entire southern coastline of the mainland and over Tasmania. Tomorrow, a low lies to the southeast of the state, and a cold front projects over southern New South Wales, and a ridge lies across the rest of the country. South to southwesterly winds of 20 to 30 knots, reaching up to 35 in the central west and southwest. And there's a number of warnings across the state tomorrow. A gale wind warning has been issued for the upper east coast, southwest and central west coast, and a strong wind warning for the rest of the state. There's a moderate flood warning for the Macquarie and South Esk rivers, minor for the Meander and North Esk, with an initial moderate flood warning for the Huon River. And there's a flood watch for the southeast, east coastal, Huon and Derwent catchments. A sheep grazier's alert has been issued for most districts, and there's a road weather alert for the east coast and southeast. And finally, a bushwalkers alert has been issued for the Western and Central Plateau districts. Rain across the south tomorrow with possible heavy falls in Hobart, Adventure Bay 14 and 7 at Tarraleah, a top of 13 in Launceston and a shower or 2 in Devonport and Bridport. A possible morning shower in Burnie, Strawn 12 and showers clearing in Marrawar. St Helens rain, Swansea 11 and showers and windy at Whitemark. And tomorrow's UV remains very high 8s across the state. Statewide showers on Wednesday, less likely about the north. Thursday, light showers across the state with patchy morning frost. And fine in the west on Friday with afternoon showers developing elsewhere. Mostly sunny in Cairns, Canberra and Broome tomorrow. Sydney 24, a shower or 2 in Melbourne and 32 in Darwin. And right now in Hobart, 13, Launceston partly cloudy and 16 and Devonport 14. And Kim, we may have jumped the gun a little bit last week, but Murph should be back tomorrow night.
We will wait and see. Thanks, Victoria. And that is all your news for now. We'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.